This guy spends $1.4 million a quarter on NFTs. Venture capitalists are pouring money into Web3 right now. Why? Well, we got Ryan Carson on the channel to explain why he's spending this much cash and how he's already up 50%. And if you guys like and comment on this video, I have some whitelist spots to give out for Stickman Toys. Yo, this is a free mint from Bose, Warner Records, and probably nothing. And I know this video is gonna get some new types of viewers, so I wanna be really politically correct and say one thing. Mark Zuckerberg. But let's get in that video with Ryan Carson, the principal of 121G Fund. Cool times with Ryan Carson of 121G Fund, former COO of Moonbirds and Proof Collective. Very happy to have him on the channel here. This guy has high conviction when it comes to NFTs. You've raised about 14,000 ETH for your fund. Why do you have so much conviction in NFTs, Ryan?
I think Web3 and NFTs are just the absolute future of technology and of Earth. I think the tokenization of every asset is where we're going. Amazing to be a part of it this early. I'm so bullish.
Do you think this is actually a great time to be investing in NFTs? You started your fund in May. We've seen, the market, pull back quite a bit since then. Is this actually a great time to be investing in Web3 and NFTs in your opinion?
Obviously not financial advice, but yes. I think this is the most amazing time ever to be deploying capital. ETH is at a very low price. I think every good NFT project is holding its floor. So effectively it's 1/3 off right now from the all-time high. So it just feels like it's a buyer's market, 100%.
So 121G Fund actually off to a great start despite the market. You swept Moonbirds, which was an obvious move for you. And the thing that really struck me yesterday was sweeping Tigerbob, which is actually a project we've talked about a lot on this channel, so that caught my eye. I think you got about, 9 Tigerbobs, which also sent them on a run. The fund's doing great. What'd you see in Tigerbobs, if you could tell us anything?
So I've been a founder CEO for 2 decades, and I've run 3 companies, and those companies have been acquired, and I've had investors. So I have a lot of experience to be able to pattern match good founders. And so what I'm betting on with Tigerbob is Gossamer. So Gossamer is the founder. I've seen her work. I've met with her multiple times. She's explained to me the future of the project, and I think she's going to do very well. She's an experienced artist, was one of the artists on Woody's. She launched her first collection. It was called Miramoo, and then her second full-time big collection is Tigerbob. But I also like its low quantity. There's only 1,000 pieces. The art is fun to look at. She's got some really cool plans for the future. So she ticks all my boxes, and I'm really excited to be a holder of that project.
Are there any underserviced sectors of the NFT market you're looking to deploy some capital in? Like, one thing I've always been interested in is, or play to earn gaming, Metaverse. I mean, you've talked about, the IP side of things. Are there any sectors that you're bearish on, bullish on? Obviously, you're going to have to spend some money here. I mean, what are the sectors you're looking at?
I'm super bearish on PFP projects with, nothing more than cute art and a hope. I think we're way past that. I think we're going to see PFP projects succeed. Obviously I believe in Moonbirds. We swept 34 of them, but I think in general, folks just can't spit out a PFP and expect it to succeed at all. So bearish on poorly thought through PFPs, but I'm hyper bullish on communities. So I think we're going to see just a blossoming of folks that have a strong community, that have a big following, that are willing to put in the work to create a token gated small community, say 1,000 true fans, and then start delivering value to those fans and then layering NFTs on top of that, including access to them. I think that's going to be really exciting.
I think you might run in different circles than I do. I'm not, a part of any, I don't know many VCs. I'm totally out of my element even talking about VCs. But when you talk to people who are, investing millions of dollars in different areas, not just Web3 and NFTs, what is their sentiment about Web3? Are some of your friends kind of looking at you like, are you crazy, man? I mean, are we going to see more funds like 121G pop up? What does the whole VC world think about what you're doing, Ryan Carson?
A lot of folks in traditional capital are very intrigued by Web3 and NFTs, but they are legally unable to deploy capital right now. We need more regulation regulation and more clarity. And I think as soon as that regulation starts to happen, like first with stable coins, that'll be the domino that starts to really blow the doors open. So I think every smart investor knows, like, yeah, this is the future, obviously, but how do they actually deploy capital? So for instance, like a traditional VC fund can't hold more than 20% of its assets in something like an NFT. Now, 121G can, because we're a 506c fund that is on Angel List, and we've carefully built out our legal documents to allow us to do that, but we are not the norm. So they all know it's the future, but not quite sure how to get in. They also see it as very risky, and in this market collapse that we're in right now, folks are running towards risk off investments. So I'm glad we're early. It's I think it means we're going to do better. Definitely forging a path that not many folks have done.
Another pillar for the 121G fund is one-of-one art. Look, everyone loves the 10K collections, Yuga, all that stuff. How much are we overlooking one-of-one art in this market, though?
I think it's a key pillar of everyone's investment strategy. It's not reliant on roadmaps. It's purely reliant on the artist's talent and their ability to market themselves. And I think truly historic one-of-one art is still accessible from a price perspective. And so we'll be betting on 4 or 5 of the world's best artists. I've already selected 2. We've already secured in a handshake agreement our first piece, which hopefully we'll be acquiring in October. So I think one-on-one art is a great play if you pick the right artist, which is hard. And a lot of these acquisitions are done through relationships. I'm fortunate to have good relationships with a lot of artists, so I can hit them up, have a meeting. It's a very personal purchase, right? You're buying someone's literal art, right? And I'm excited about it. I think it's a good strategy to hedge the first pillar and the third pillar of the fund. So really excited to acquire those pieces.
One thing to watch out for, guys, 121G podcast coming on the way. We're going to be interviewing a lot of project founders. I think the first one might be scheduled for next Monday. Certainly something everyone should check out. There's going to be, tons of alpha, tons of great questions asked. So something to check out. But you've been talking to a lot of projects already and starting to vet projects you might want to deploy some capital on. We're at a low place right now in the market, but you're talking to innovators, talking to builders who have blinders on or just looking straight ahead. What are you gleaning from them about the future of NFTs?
I think we're going to see really interesting things with token gated e-commerce. And so what I mean by that is, say that you are passionate about Stranger Things, right? If we could go back in time and that show is created now, what would probably happen is they would offer a token. And if you were passionate about supporting that show early, you would have acquired that token. And then what would happen later to reward you as a loyal supporter of the show is they'd say, hey, if you've held this token from the beginning, we're actually going to unlock a token gated store. We're going to airdrop you a limited edition bomber jacket. That's just one of a trillion things that could happen here with token gated e-commerce. I think token gated rewards in geolocations are a big deal. So imagine that you're in New York City, the MoMA tweets out, hey, everyone who owns a Tigerbob or a Chromie Squiggle can show up right now. You authenticate with an app like Token Proof, and they let you in, and then they airdrop you an NFT. This is just the beginning, right? So I see a lot of those things playing out in the future. Another thing I'm really bullish on are creators that have loyal communities that are prepared to do the work to build that community. There's just so much opportunity. Super excited.
To add on to that, I saw yesterday somebody post a Funko box, one of the, those Funko collectibles. I'm a big collector myself, that actually had an NFT attached to it in the form of a QR code. So there are definitely a lot of big IP. Stranger Things is certainly one of those things. I know you're a big fan of Back to the Future, so I got a Back to the Future style question for you, Ryan. If you could go back, because 121G fund is the fund you wish you could go back in time and invest in. But what's the NFT project you wish you could kind of go back in time and invest in?
I wish I would have minted a bunch of free CryptoPunks. I'll tell you that much. It's just so fascinating to see these things, and it's not that long ago, right? So it would have been fun to mint some CryptoPunks for sure. It's also interesting to notice that it was a free mint, right? We've ended right back up, with the rage that was Goblin Towns and some of those free mints that are happening, back to where we were at the beginning. So it would be fun to own some CryptoPunks. I'd mint a lot of stuff on art blocks, tell you that. Cadenzas, ringers, Chromie Squiggles. It's almost painful to talk about. So
you bring up Goblin Town. That's actually a project 121G fund probably wouldn't invest in because the founders are not.
Wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
What are you have pillars for your fund, but what are kind of your internal pillars of like, what are the boxes, a project with doxed founders, with a great community? What are the other things that need to kind of check,
Check the box.
I kind of want to find out what you're going to sweep next, honestly. So give us like, what's kind of the bullet points for.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
And our wallets are public, right? So you can follow our public acquisition wallet and our public vault wallet. So the fun thing about the podcast that's launching is you will get a front row seat into the projects that I'm looking at. So we're inviting projects that meet our quality bar, number one, to be on the show. So for instance, what are some of those bars that we're setting as for quality? Number one, like you said, have to be fully doxed team. But that's just obvious, I think. If someone isn't willing to put their reputation on the line, then what are we doing, right? Your reputation should live and die with your project. That's only fair. Number two, do they have real world experience shipping products? So have they worked on an engineering team or a product team or a marketing team, in a larger company, learning how to do this stuff? And number three, I have to have a meeting with them. I mean, this is almost like angel investing, right? So the way I'm doing that, the podcast is like NFT Shark Tank. Our first guest is called Cryptoys. They meet a lot of those bars, and I'm going to have them pitch for a minute and a half, and then I'm going to pepper them with, I think it's about 20 questions. Have you hired anybody? What is your hiring plan? How much are founders being paid? What's being done with the treasury? What's your roadmap? What's your burn rate? What's your runway? I mean, these are all kind of standard investing questions. So the show's really going to elevate, I hope, everyone's discussion around what's a good project and what's not. And then we're going to probably deploy capital into some of those. So, you'll at least know which projects that the fund is thinking about.
So many people watching this channel might not be able to get into the 121G fund, but if you want to get information, if you want to follow Ryan, do so on Twitter at Ryan Carson. Watch out for the podcast. I'm certainly going to be listening to it. I'm really excited for it. Anything else you want to plug real quick, Ryan?
Watch the Twitter space, listen to the Twitter space, listen to the podcast, because you're literally going to be front row seat with what the fund is looking at. It'll be a lot of fun. Hit me up on @Ryan Carson or 121g.fund.
I just want to say something. This is very transparent. And I think there have been other people out there who've said things or whatnot, or have done things in the shadows. I appreciate how transparent you are being with the public wallet, with the podcast. So really excited for that. And kudos to you, man. Thanks again for coming on the channel.
Thanks. This is a blast. Appreciate it.
And that's the video for today, guys. Had a lot of fun talking with Ryan. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if this is your first time watching tons of NFT alpha. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter @CoolTimes for all the alpha before the alpha updates. And yeah, I don't know. I feel more bullish about NFTs after that conversation than I did before. Really giving me this strong urge to say something. I don't know what. Maybe it's gang.